Hi everyone, so I'm doing another video that's different from other stuff that I've done recently, which has just been book reviews and such, and this video is actually talking about a film adaptation that I've just literally gotten home from seeing at the cinema, and that is the adaptation of Pride and Prejudice and Zombies. Now, I have been looking forward to this film since this book was published in 2009. I have followed all of the rumours, how it was on again, off again, on again, off again. Natalie Portman was going to play Elizabeth Bennet, then she wasn't, then she was, then she wasn't, then it completely went away, and then suddenly it came back and it was all of a sudden available to, they would start shooting and everything. So it's a film I've really been looking forward to. And so I want to talk about it. So I'm going to say right away that because I'm going to be talking about this and how much I love this book so much, and obviously the film adaptation, that I'm probably going to, in the course of this, inadvertently, have revealed some major spoilers. So here is your warning right now. If you don't want to be spoiled, turn off this video, okay? You have been warned. So, Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, as you can tell, it is the story of Pride and Prejudice with zombies in it. It was, as I said, published in 2009, and I got it when it came out, and I absolutely loved it. I thought it was brilliant how they weaved in this story of zombies into Pride and Prejudice and everything. And of course, it has actually led to them writing 2 sequels, but I haven't actually read those ones because other books got in the way. I wasn't able to get around to reading them and such. So they're on my list of books that I'd like to read, but I haven't read yet. And the actual the writer of this also did Sensibility and Sea Monsters, which I really wasn't that impressed by, I have to say. That one was a bit weird. And they've also done things like Android Karenina as well. So as you can see, it started off in publishing a range of things being made, and other writers kind of caught onto it. So they had like Abraham Lincoln, vampire killer and stuff like that kind of thing. And there was all of other ones like Jane Eyre as well, being a vampire killer, hunter and killer as well. But anyway, that's how all of that started. So I absolutely love this book. I think it's very clever what it does, weaving in zombies into the story of Pride and Prejudice. So when they said how they were going to make the film, I was really excited, and I've waited all day. I went out shopping in town like really mega early in the day, so that way I was hanging around town, and I wasn't just sat here thinking, oh, when can I finally get to see this film? And I went along to it, and I liked it, but they did that annoying thing where they kind of rewrote half the book and put in this whole, like, the last 3/4 of an hour don't even happen. There's parts of it that was just nonsensical, bits that they really cut short. There were bits that they cut out which were absolutely fantastic, and it was just like, I came out there thinking, yeah, okay, I'd probably watch that again, but kind of like how I've said it in a previous adaptation book, like The Woman in Black, I have to completely disconnect my mind from the book in order to watch that film and enjoy it again. So I'm going to talk about the various differences. As I said, major spoiler, you've had your warning, here we go. Right, so first off, I liked the film itself, catches the tone of the book fantastically. The fighting is excellent. The way in which it depicts the world, and the zombies, and how there's fences and barbed wire kind of all around the gates and everything. The ladies are all, instead of like doing sewing and reading, they're cleaning guns and all this lot. There were little things though, if I'm getting petty, there are little things that were missing out of it that I really would have liked. So like for example, there's this whole thing about how there's this discussion about how muskets are better to have for fighting the zombies, but then at the same time it's not very ladylike to carry a musket around. Oh no, you can't be doing that. There's things, there's a significant storyline which I really wish that they had done, but they didn't do it at all, and it's really quite sad that they didn't do it. And that is the whole storyline of why Charlotte marries Mr. Collins. Now, in obviously Pride and Prejudice, the story has been around for hundreds of years. It follows the Bennet sisters and how the mother wants them to get married, and how about, you know, where their hearts truly lie, the scandals in the family, or, you know, la 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 la. There's no spoilers there, obviously, because Pride and Prejudice is so well known. But there is a point in the story. Elizabeth has had a proposal of marriage from Mr. Collins, her cousin, who she really doesn't want to marry at all. She doesn't really like him. And he, broken-hearted, goes to stay with Charlotte Lucas. She invites him to stay, and they get married and move away. And in this film adaptation, it's basically, you know, she tells Lizzie that she's getting married and she'd like her to come to meet Lady Catherine de Bourgh, you know, because she has to give their consent to the marriage, and so, you know, they go along, and then you just don't see or hear from her ever again in the entire film. Now, in the book, there is a reason why Charlotte has accepted this proposal of marriage for Mr. Collins, and it goes back to Jane Austen's original text in regards to that. She says all that she wants is a comfortable home to live in. Now, the comfortable home aspect in Pride and Prejudice and Zombie is that Charlotte has actually been bitten by a zombie, and she's turning into one. Slowly but surely, she's turning into one. She knows that. She knows that she's going to go through this horrific thing, and she doesn't want to be near her family because she doesn't want to possibly, you know, turn and kill them. So she wants to move far away as possible, and the only way she could do that is if she marries. So she marries Mr. Collins, and later on in the book, Lizzie gets a really tragic letter from Mr. Collins, and he explains, you know, it starts off very happy because he explains how he's enjoying his life with his new wife, and everything, and then the letter shifts, and he explains how he's found out that Charlotte has been bitten, and now he's going to have to do the worst thing imaginable. He loves her so much, so he's doing this out of love, and he reveals that how he's beheaded her, he's burned her, and he says, by the time this letter gets to you, I will be dead. I'm going to hang myself from the tree, the apple tree or something in the garden, which she loved to sit under and read, because I can't imagine, you know, living life after having to kill the woman that I love. And it is so sad. It is so tragically sad when you read that letter and you think, oh God, you know, he really did love her. He, you know, she really was significant in his life and everything, and now they're both gone. And it's so beautiful, that moment. And Mr. Collins is no longer this bumbling fool who can't dance and, you know, is constantly bowing down to Lady Catherine de Bourgh and her greatness and everything. He is a human being and someone who Lizzie really respects because of that letter. And they just cut it out. I was really upset by that. There are other things also that it decided to break away from the story in areas like, for example, the whole thing of there's Lydia runs away with Mr. Wickham in Pride and Prejudice. She falls under Wickham's spell. He convinces her to elope with him in order to get money, basically, and they rush off to London. And Darcy basically pays him to marry Lydia, gives him the £10,000 that he wants, and so have to be bound to Lydia for the rest of his life. And it's a very interesting section of Pride and Prejudice and what that means for Wickham. But in the book, in this fantastic book, he gets his comeuppance in regards to, after, you know, Darcy gives him the money, there is an incident in which he suddenly becomes kind of an unconscious, well, I suppose you could say vegetable, paraplegic. He's all, all of his limbs. He can't move them at all. He can't speak. He's just a living creature, and he has to be carried around on a bed all the time. But Lydia still loves him, wants to be with him, and is bound in marriage to him forever. And he is conscious. He knows what's going on, but he can't respond. He can't say anything. He can't move, and that's a very interesting comeuppance, I think. And it's kind of like Wickham is being tortured in a sense, and it begs the question, who's the one who caused the accident, that put him in this place. Whereas in the film they come up with this ludicrous thing in regards to the he has started an army of zombies who they're people who are turning into zombies, kind of like Charlotte, but they have been eating the brains of pigs and consuming their blood and such rather than humans, which has actually stopped them from turning into full zombies. So they're still conscious, they're still people. And he has basically formed them into an army, and he's going to destroy Darcy. And it's this really stupid post-credit scene, sort of mid-credit scene, shall I say, because you have a bit of credits like a minute or two long, and then all of a sudden it cuts to a new scene. And you see Wickham, is leading this army of zombies, and it's like, what the hell is that? He should have this torturous comeuppance as he has in the book. What is the point of this? It's just so stupid. I don't know why. Now, when it comes to, also, there was a section of the book where they sort of did it, but they didn't really do it. And I really wish they had pushed for it and done it the way that it should have been done. And that is, there is a sequence of Pride and Prejudice where Lizzie, it's rumoured that Lizzie might be engaged to Mr. Darcy soon. So Lady Catherine, who is Mr. Darcy's aunt, turns up on her doorstep and says, she asks the question, are you engaged to him or not? And Lizzie says no and not. And she basically says that you'll never be engaged to him. Your family are so below him in class. You will never, you're awful, basically an awful human being. And in Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, Lizzie is very, very good at kind of taekwondo sort of, moves and such and everything. And Lady Catherine actually sets about a dozen ninjas on Lizzie and has her fight them. And throughout the whole time that they're doing this, that she's fighting them, Lady Catherine is throwing her a load of questions and getting angry and more fight. And Lady Catherine then gets involved in the fight, and Lizzie wins, but right when it should be a case of, because it's a fight to the death, she stops and stops herself from killing Lady Catherine, because she says you're not worth it, basically, which really pleases Darcy. It's kind of, Lady Catherine had one of her henchmen attack Lizzie for about 2 minutes, and then that was it. And all that meant that Lady Catherine had respect for Lizzie, and she wanted to help out the family. And I was like, really? Are you sure about that? Lady Catherine, she's not a nice lady at all. She's quite cruel, and she has a very strained relationship. I kind of feel like with Pride and Prejudice, because with Darcy and Lizzie and their relationship and how it evolves and everything, I kind of feel like after Pride and Prejudice is over, they have a very strained relationship. Like, Lizzie will meet with her like once a year at Christmas, and sit there and bite her tongue and try not to answer back to Lady Catherine. Or the two of them will just sit there in silence. They won't talk to each other, but they'll see each other for that one event a year. That's kind of how I always think, it will happen. But yeah, the fact that Lady Catherine in the film then accepts her and offers her home to the Bennets and is quite, she's okay with Lizzie after that. I was kind of a bit bemused by that. It was really odd. And the last thing that I'll say that I wasn't that happy with was, this whole thing of when, right, basically Mr. Darcy has Mr. Bingley, who has fallen in love with Elizabeth's sister Jane, to leave the area entirely, go to London, and to basically live there, and tells her that, convinces him that Jane's not for him and everything. Elizabeth finds this out, and she decides to kill Darcy. She's going to behead him. And he comes over to the cottage where Mr. Collins lives with his new bride Charlotte, and Lizzie is there. She's alone in the house, and she is determined that she's going to kill him. She will kill him. And she gets it, they have this real physical fight, which is depicted in the film, but she's decided she's going to behead him. She is so angry with him. And in the book, right before she beheads him, he proposes to her, and that causes the big shift in the scene. Whereas in the film, he walks in, he proposes, they start getting angry, they start rolling around the floor, fighting each other, they're slicing buttons off each other to, it gets sexier and sexier, and then he leaves. And it loses the tone of how Lizzie is feeling in that moment and why she's so angry at him and everything. So I was a bit let down by that. But yeah, if they hadn't have rewritten half the book, like literally the last 45 minutes is entirely made up. This big blowing up the bridge and having to get across, and Lydia's being is chained up in the church and all this rubbish. I didn't agree with that kind of stuff at all. If you look at the film just by itself, completely independent, it works. But yeah, I think I would have to watch it but completely detach my mind from the book if I ever watched it again. It does leave, also the final scene leaves it very wide open for them to make a sequel, the sequel, if they do. But then because they change so much of this initial book, I don't know, and I haven't read the second or third that they've written, but I don't know if by changing so much of the first book, if it would be possible to make the second or third book because of the changes. I don't know. But yeah, overall, it was a good film, good little film, but they changed so much of it. I'm really kind of disappointed in it. The cast were good, don't get me wrong. The tone of it, the cinematography, the costumes, all great. I just got let down by the writing. Sorry, that's how I feel. But anyway, if you've gotten through this video and gone through all those spoilers, please let me know, what did you think of this film? If you've seen it or the book, what are your thoughts? You can leave me comments. If you you want to show what you think of another way, give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Love to hear what you think of it, and I'll be back soon with more videos.